Hello, I'm Father Bob Solinsky, the pastor of Nativity Church in Burke, Virginia. Happy to be sharing in your Marymount Lenten series of reflection. And this is Wednesday of the fourth week of Lent. This past Sunday we celebrated Laetare Sunday, a little bit of joy because we're halfway through Lent, and Easter is fast approaching. And that fills us with great hope and a spirit of gratitude and joy. So it was just a few weeks ago that we began our Lenten journey on Ash Wednesday. And years ago, I served as the Catholic chaplain at George Mason University, and for Lent we used to give out buttons on Ash Wednesday that the students would put on their jackets or their backpacks throughout the whole season. And it is the mark of ashes that we began the Lenten season with, literally marking that new beginning. And it also had the word remember under it. A couple different meanings of the word remember. On Ash Wednesday, one of the formulas that is used is, remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. It was kind of a reminder to us that there's more to life than what's right here in this world. We live in this world fully, and we love it, and it's beautiful. But we're always living for heaven. We're living for life forever. And so we're on a journey from God, through life, back to God. So that word remember just gives us wisdom about the direction of our lives. But I also think the word remember, as we would wear this button during the days of Lent, remember that it's Lent. Remember that this is a time of renewal. I love the word Lent. It means springtime. And thankfully, we are experiencing that springtime now in Northern Virginia. Warm days and the sun shining. But springtime is a time of new life, so for Lent, it is a time for all of us to experience the new life of God and His love radiating in our lives in a new way. How do we achieve that? Well, through the traditional ancient Lenten practices of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, or good works. Those are called the spiritual exercises. And I like to say they are the stairmasters of our souls and the push-ups of our hearts. That they make us more loving and therefore more beautiful. So to take time to pray, which can just mean to be still and quiet and silent and turn off the cell phone and the TV and just reflect and be with God. Fasting, we think of giving up things like sweets or other things like that, but Pope Francis said, well, fast from greed and fast from gossip and fast from holding a grudge. Those sort of things can bring us new life too. And then, of course, good works, charitable giving, giving of ourselves in service to others, or just giving of our time to be a listening ear to a friend. So remember, and the other thing about remember how loved you are. That cross reminds us of the great love that Christ has for us and how He has won for us forgiveness of our sins whenever we turn to Him. God never tires of forgiving us. We get tired of asking for forgiveness, but God never tires of forgiving us. And every time we do turn back to God, He always embraces us in His mercy and forgiveness. It might be a good opportunity to celebrate the Sacrament of Reconciliation, especially if it's been a long time. God is waiting for us. He desires to speak those words of forgiveness to us. So remember, on Good Friday, Jesus died for our sins. He's already paid the price and paid the debt. He has taken our sins and nailed them to the wood of His cross. And because of that great act of unselfish love, we never are accused or condemned, but always forgiven. So, remember. And also remember the good times. You know, when you're going through a difficult time and a challenging time, remember the good times too. Remember God's tender mercies in your life. We were reminded of that in the second Sunday of Lent when we celebrated the transfiguration of Jesus on Mount Tabor. And the disciples that were with Him experienced the future glory that was Jesus to share. after all the struggles, the cross and the sufferings. And that future glory is ours to share. So recently, I heard a story of a chess champion who was on vacation traveling throughout Europe. And one day he was touring an art museum. And the tour guide with his group was walking with them and explaining each work of art. They came to a painting of a chessboard. And in the painting were two figures. On one side of the chessboard was a figure that looked like a half-human, had a sinister look on his face with a grin, and it was the evil one. It was the devil. On the other side of the chessboard is a young man, and he has a very concerned look on his face. And underneath the painting was the word checkmate. And that's the name of this famous work of art, actually, Checkmate. You could Google it. So the group continued down the hallway looking at other works of art, but the chess master just stayed at that picture of the chessboard. He was riveted to it, and he kept studying it and looking at the position of each of the pieces. And then after a couple minutes, he shouts to the group, "It's a lie! It's a lie!" And they said, "What?" He said, "The king has one more move. The king has one more move." And he had studied it, and he saw that it was really true. The king had one more move. And that young man's concern about his situation wasn't as hopeless as he thought. And actually, with the king having that one more move, victory is snatched from the evil one. I think it's a great message for us during the season of Lent, that whenever we are dealing with struggles, maybe personal struggles and hopes that we have for the season of Lent, a struggle in a relationship, a brokenness, a hurt or disappointment, remember, the king has still one more move, you know. So I shared that story in a homily recently, and I received a letter from a high school teenager. I want to share that with you. Dear Father Bob, I watched the Sunday Mass via live streaming last week. I love chess and thought it was awesome that you mentioned it in your homily. Right after Mass, I played a chess match. I needed to win in order to qualify for the Virginia State Championships. I was playing a stronger opponent and was losing badly. I remembered your homily and managed to win. Thank you for all that you do at Nativity and reminding us that we always have one more move with Jesus. You know, love will. Yeah. So that's the message that Christ wants to give to all of us in this season of Lent. That when we are faced with a situation that we think might be hopeless, and there surely are moments when it seems that God is not working or acting, like when we're in a global health crisis. At times like these, remember that Jesus is at your side. Do not stop dreaming. Do not give up hope. Do not lose that hope. You know, the evil one always wants us to think that there is no hope, and that we're just terrible and not even God can help us or save us, and just wants us to give up. That's the evil one speaking. Don't listen to that voice. The evil one wants to say, checkmate, you're done. Don't listen to that voice. Jesus says, do not be afraid. I am with you. You are precious to me. You know, follow me. Listen to that voice. That's the voice of Jesus, the shepherd. So I want to give you encouragement as we have marked half-time of Lent and journeying to Easter. It is a beautiful season of renewal and new life for the church. One can only imagine how more beautiful the church, the people of God, are going to become even in these next few weeks. And if Lent has been a bust so far, don't worry. You still have this grace-filled time leading up to Easter. As Pope Francis said, you know, fast from gossip, fast from holding a grudge. I believe that if we forgive one person during Lent, it's a successful Lent. Something beautiful has happened in our lives. Well, today, Wednesday, March 17th, is the feast of St. Patrick. And you know, the Irish, I love them. They're filled with joy and laughter and always hope. Always hope. So I just want to end with part of the Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hands. God's blessings, and go Saints!